You might think you're a good manager, but if you're missing even one of these 10 skills, your team probably disagrees. And no one's going to tell this to you, at least not to your face. But they will talk about it in the break room, in exit interviews, and those little moments when trust, it quietly erodes. The truth is, great management isn't about charisma or being everyone's favorite. It's about consistent, skillful action, especially when no one's watching. So let's break down the 10 essential skills that every manager needs to not just survive, but to actually lead in a way that earns respect, loyalty, and results. And stick around because number 7, that one skill is a silent killer nobody warns you about. First up, emotional self-regulation. If your team feels like they have to read your mood before bringing up a problem, you're already behind. You can't lead well if you're reactive, unpredictable, or defensive. Leadership isn't about being emotionless. It's about being responsible with your emotions. That means staying steady in chaos, holding boundaries without losing your temper, and not weaponizing silence. Silent treatment. I hate the silent treatment. I learned this the hard way after I snapped at a team member in a morning huddle. She avoided me for weeks and I lost trust I didn't even realize I had. Second, active listening. Not passive, not active listening. It means stopping what you're doing, looking them in the eye, and actually hearing what's being said and what isn't. When your team genuinely feels heard, you get better information, you get better buy-in, and you get fewer surprises. This one skill alone transforms feedback conversations from awkward to productive. Third, clear expectation setting. If you're frustrated that your team isn't stepping up, pause and ask yourself, did you actually define what stepping up looks like? Vague requests lead to vague results. Your team needs clarity on what good looks like, what's urgent versus important, and how success will be measured. Otherwise, they're just guessing, and often guessing wrong. Fourth, follow through. This one's simple but brutal. If you say you'll do something, do it. Every time you drop a commitment, you chip away at your own credibility. I once promised a new hire that we'd check in weekly. No, every week. I missed 2 in a row. And when I finally got around to asking how she was doing, it kills me. She said, I just figured you were too busy. She didn't say it in anger. It's worse. She said it with disappointment. That stung, and it should have. Fifth, giving feedback early and often. If you're saving feedback for annual reviews or only giving it when something goes wrong, you're creating a fear-based environment. Good managers normalize feedback. It becomes part of the rhythm, and it doesn't always have to be corrective. Positive reinforcement, when done sincerely and specifically, is one of the most powerful tools you have. Sixth, time and priority management. If everything's urgent, nothing is urgent. You've got to protect your team's time like you protect your own. And you can't expect high performance if you're constantly shifting priorities without context. Great managers don't just delegate, they orchestrate. I like how they orchestrate. They shield their teams from chaos and give them space to focus. Now, remember I said number 7 is the silent killer of your career? Here it is. Managing up. Too many managers assume that leadership is all about the team below them. But if you can't manage the expectations, communication, and trust of the people above you, you're toast. Managing up means proactively communicating risks, showing strategic thinking, and making your boss's life easier without being a suck-up. I spent years thinking, if I worked harder, I'd get noticed. But the people who advanced were the ones who knew how to communicate value upward. 8th, conflict navigation. You don't have to like conflict, but if you avoid it, it will eat your team alive. A great manager addresses tension early, before it becomes resentment. They facilitate hard conversations without assigning blame, and they model how to disagree without becoming enemies. 9th, coaching, not just redirecting. Anyone can tell people what to do. Why is that light turn out? Fuck. Great managers teach people how to think. They ask questions, they challenge assumptions, and they help team members grow, not just to get through the day. Coaching is what turns good performers into future leaders. And yes, it takes more time up front, but the payoff is exponential. 10th, self-awareness. If you're not regularly asking yourself, what's it like to be led by me? You're flying blind. Every manager, even you, has blind spots. But the best ones actively work to uncover them. They seek feedback, they reflect, and they don't take it personal when someone calls them out. They get curious instead. Now here's the kicker. None of these skills are a one and done. They're practices, they're habits, muscles you build and rebuild every day, which is why I created my free Leadership Quick Wins checklist. It's full of simple and powerful ways to build these habits into your daily rhythm. Grab it, use it, and start stacking these small wins. That's how real leadership grows. And if you're still with me, ask yourself, which of these 10 skills is your weakest link right now? Because the next level of your leadership depends on strengthening that one. The good news, you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. Otherwise, your team won't tell you directly, but you're going to feel it. Anywho, meet you in that video. We're done.